Good morning, everybody. My name is Dan Slippin. I'm one of the museum's senior vice presidents here. I'm responsible for government, corporate, and community engagement work. So we are really pleased that you are here with us today and make the trip up from Princeton. We are very excited to be continuing this partnership and this relationship with you. And to kick off your activities this morning, you'll hear from our president, Dr. Sean Decatur. I think many of you met Sean last year. I think he was down in Princeton. And Sean is now a seasoned vet in his presidency here at the museum, a solid 2.5 years in, Sean, is that right? Dr. Decatur comes to us from Ohio, where he was the president of Kenyon College. And he is a trained scientist by trade. He is a biophysical chemist, graduating from his undergrad from Swarthmore and his PhD from Stanford. And he is going to kick you guys off for what we hope to be a great day. But I do want to recognize our staff that helped put this together. Katie Savella, who is in the back, who has just come back from maternity leave. But Sam Alderson, Sam, where are you? Has been heading up the ship. So just thank you to them both and many other museum colleagues to make this day possible for you. So thank you for being here, and I hope you enjoy your day. Sean?
Thank you, Dan, and good morning, everyone. It's really wonderful to be here and to have a chance to welcome you here to the museum and to be in the space to share this space with you. The museum is located within Lunaapahkiing, the ancestral land of the Lunaape, and it is we acknowledge the present day Lunaape. We certainly acknowledge and honor all of you for being able to come back here to the museum and to share this space with us and to share your time with us today. We're honored to host this visit for the 3 largest communities with ties to the belongings that we'll be bringing out today and that are held here at the museum: the Munsee Delaware Nation, the Lunaapeewak, and the Delaware Band at 6 Nations of Grand River Territory. And I'd especially like to welcome Chief Roger Thomas from the Munsee Delaware Nation, Amanda Dolson, Ross Albert, council members from the Munsee Delaware Nation, and all of the community members and guests. And of course, also thanks to folks at the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton, especially Suzanne Akbari, for this event and for bringing us together today. It was really just a deep honor for me to be with you in Princeton last year for the gathering to commemorate and to study and to share the GT belt, to meet many of you. I was so deeply moved by the connections both among across generations that had gathered together, the importance and meaning of the GT belt to the family members and community, and how actually creating and opening up more opportunities for dialogue, for collaboration, for partnership are incredibly important to all of us. And in many ways, I'm reminded of a sort of a quote from at least one of my literary idols, James Baldwin, in talking about history, where he says, "The great force of history comes from the fact that we carry it with us." Right? And history is always something that we carry with us, and that it's literally present in all that we do. And not to sort of go beyond or to sort of to try to take Baldwin to another level, but I would actually push beyond that and say that the history that we carry with us actually also gives us a responsibility It's not just that the history is something we carry with us in the present, but it gives us a responsibility to the present and a responsibility to the future. Part of that responsibility is to make sure that we are honoring and acknowledging history. And part of that responsibility is to make sure that as we carry that history with us, that we're also repairing the past and taking all advantage of moments and opportunities we have to repair the past, and that we carry that history together into building a better future for everyone, right? And that there's work to be done there. And so place to begin is sort of acknowledging the places in which the past needs to be repaired. And another place to begin is to open up to build partnership and collaboration and to be open to moving forward in new and different ways than we've been able to do so before. And that's where I can say that, sort of on behalf of the museum, we're committed to building relationships and partnerships with the communities represented here and really all Lenape people as we sort of develop models for stewardship of the items that have been held here at the museum, to work together in how to determine what the future is of those items as we move forward, and to make sure that we are honoring the ways in which those items themselves carry not only history, but carry important meaning for the present and important meaning for the future. And that's important work that the museum is committed to. And as I said, really just deeply honored to be able to be in the presence of you all, especially knowing what you'll be doing today to examine and look at the items that are here held in the museum and what that means actually for moving forward. So thank you all for being here today. And we just deeply appreciate your time. And I'm delighted to ask Chief Roger Thomas of the Munsee Delaware Nation to come up here as well and to share a few words. And so, Chief Thomas.
Okay, I'm delighted that we have this day there where we can come and view our ancestors' belongings and whatnot. And I'd like to thank the museum and the team that put this together in order to be able to come and see all this stuff. I know Ian was involved in this, Rose was involved, and some others and whatnot, and Susan. And it's nice that we can come and see these things, because maybe someday we can have these back at home where we plan to open our museum and whatnot. So, I'd just like to say thank you to the team that put this together, and thanks to Sean for meeting us last year and telling us about this. So thank you. Not sure who's coming up next.
Yesterday, is it? No. Every time I go into a museum, I'm reminded of my parents suggesting they got something called museum leg. Because as a kid, I loved going to museums, but I'm not sure if they enjoyed museums as much as I did. So they developed a mysterious illness called museum leg, where they couldn't walk as much anymore. And but to their credit, they instilled a love in museums in the way that I did. And maybe to keep this short, the way I see the work with the AMNH and the wonderful staff here is that opportunity as a person who's interested in language, the Munsee language, interested in the history. The ancestors and the relatives that are here can teach us a lot of things, right? They're like the teachers that have been removed from the community, but they're willing to share their knowledge back with us. And I'm reminded that they're not just items, that these pieces belong to people in our community. So, Natties, the doll, was part of the Hank family. Right, and learning more about Eunice and her husband James and their children, and the fact that they all had Munsee names, and that they were not necessarily people who English was their first language and that they held on to that sort of traditional knowledge. And, you know, one of the pieces that is important for me to sort of leave at the door is you're going to have to tap into some emotions that maybe aren't always present, right? Like you know, it's not all at what you see, right? But you actually have to let your guard down to go, okay, what can I learn? What can I learn from those ancestors that have passed on? And I think that's one of the key pieces. And it's the opportunity to make relationships again. It's made to see and to be in the presence of you know, knowledge holders. I'll stop there because I'll keep talking. I'm not supposed to. I'll pass on to my esteemed colleague, Rose.
Really short now. Good morning. It's been a really privilege to be a part of this and learning every day what that they're looking at. And it's, I'm just so grateful to be involved in all the looking at the items were removed, and I'm glad you all got to come and also view these. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm very privileged to be a part of this event. For me, it's like, in a way, coming home. It's much more than just items behind glass that we look at. This is part of us and who we are. And not just who we were, but who we are as a people. When we look at masks, for example, not many people realize the critical importance that masks played in our community. And those who were selected to be wearers and keepers of the masks played such a critical role in maintaining the fabric of our community. I remember my father talking about the role of the false face society. And on one hand, we had the warrior society, and everybody knows that their role was to protect the community from external threats. But not many people realize that the false face society had as much an important role in maintaining the fabric of the community, holding us together. For example, how that worked. If during the course of the year, you had transgressed against a neighbor or said something mean-spirited and had not made amends to that person, then somehow or other, the false face society would know of that. And then during the course of the year, during the Strawberry Moon Festival, during around May, June timeframe, they would gather together people in the big house. And part of the ceremony would be that the false face dancers would come in. And if they saw you and knew you had transgressed, but had not asked forgiveness, their role was to come up and jeer at you until you were so embarrassed, you had to get up publicly and go and apologize. And you can imagine the impact that that had on the community and how we interacted with each other during the course of the year. Few things we held in such high regard as our love for one another and the respect that we held for ourselves as individuals and our fellow community members. That's what defined who we were and should define who we are and what we teach our children. So it's with great honor to be a part of this event today and again tomorrow as well. So thank you.
I also wanted to mention thanks to Munsee Delaware Chief and Council for organizing the bus trip down. Oftentimes it feels a little selfish to be able to come and see these items when I want to, but it's so wonderful to see so many community members able now to interact and to see the items as well. And just a short thank you to Sean and to Lori, to Karina, Katie, and Sam also for all of the work in behind. I apologize for not reading the emails for the last 2 weeks, but we got busy. But we really do appreciate all your work. I just wanted to say that. HULUNIIXSUWAAKAN. Big thanks. I've been asked to invite Velma Noah up here.
Good morning, everybody. This is actually my third time being here. I seen them the first time, the items, the first time. There's more items too. They're not, the ones on that paper are not the only ones. I remember them. And it was very emotional the very first time, because those are considered our ancestors, our family members. Some of them belong to family lines in from our community. So those items can bring healing for each and every one in our communities. And I see a few items on there that could be replicated. I can sew, I can make that dress. You can have that one and then we'll have the, like those kind of things. There's moccasins and things. And the other thing is I see is corn, and our community was known for the Indian corn. And I remember my dad would always have a field of Indian corn, and at it for a long time, he was the only one that actually grew Indian corn, dried Indian corn, and sold Indian corn. So that corn maybe can be grown again, maybe in our community. So always thankful to come to see these items and to spend time. And then the second time we came, we took those items off the wall. They were on the wall, fastened by a steel spike of some sort. And so I took those down. I helped the lady cut them, and I brought them down off the wall. So even that action itself it was really emotional. But it was like, I don't know, it's really hard to explain, but it's really meaningful. And I'm always glad to come. And I'm glad that they're safe here for now. But they too look forward to us coming to see them and spend time with them. So Anishik, for all the organizers and everything that were able to come. And I wish there was more community members, but we have a museum that's almost renovated, almost, we're probably a quarter of the way. And so we have a spot for these things to come probably by next year. So I'm going to push for that. And so Anishik. John Moses, you are invited up here.
Hello, my name is John Moses. I'm a member of the Delaware and Upper Mohawk bands from the Six Nations of the Grand River Territory. And I also want to introduce my cousins, Kathy Chadwick and Amber Dinyard, who likewise are Delaware band members from Six Nations. My Mohawk is stronger than my Lenape, so I'm actually just going to introduce myself in Mohawk quickly. Sego Skenagowaga, Swatis Moses, Young Yats, Ganyats Young Wahoy, Ganyatse Hodenoshoni, Ganyangahega Tano Lenape. So I'm very proud to be here. I want to thank the organizers of the Munsee Symposium overall, including Suzanne and Melissa. And I want to thank our hosts for today at the American Museum of Natural History. A lot of emotions right now. In no particular order, behind the screen and on the table, there are some items from Delaware Band at Six Nations of the Grand River. This is sort of like a homecoming for me. I worked as a conservator with the National Museum of the American Indian from 1994 through 1996. We're in the process of shutting down the Audubon Terrace complex, doing all sorts of work at the research branch on Bruckner Boulevard in the Bronx, and then also installing the inaugural exhibits at the Customs House location Manhattan, Lower Manhattan, but I've, been back to New York certainly in the meantime, but I can't believe that's all like 30 years ago. Because, this used to know New York City like the back of my hand kind of thing. So it's really good to be back here again. But on behalf of our Delaware band, Six Nations of the Grand River, it's great to be here. I want to go on record as say I'm looking forward to working as a partner with you folks moving forward. And just very quickly, whether Kathy or Amber, if you want to say anything. Thank you. Yahweh.
Good morning, everyone. I too would like to say that I'm so excited and grateful to be here, honoring my family and my mother being here. My mother, Carol Moses, was number 15 girl at the Mohawk Institute. She was there for 8 years. She's going to be 94 years old. And when she graduated that institution after 8 years, she never knew that she came to our ancestral homeland in New Jersey. She got away as far away as she could back in the day from that institution. And so all 4 of us children were born in our ancestral homeland. And it's really very emotional when I come back here and to be amongst all of my relatives and to be in this institution that so lovingly and beautifully are caretakers for our ancestors and our relatives. So I want to express my deep gratitude and appreciation to everyone that had a hand in organizing this trip, and also to our benefactors here at the museum.
And if there's any of our other Lenape in the audience from wherever you're from, if you want to come up and say a few words, feel free to do so. And Amber, you weren't gonna, did you want to say anything? Again, it's understood. Yeah. Yes, by all means, please come on up and introduce yourself. Thank you.
Thanks. I wasn't expecting to say anything. Lunaapahkiing. I just wanted to share that George and I grew up in New York City, and we grew up going to this museum, and there used to be an exhibit that was a very basic exhibit with like an Indian with a spear and like the loincloth. And since there's now an exhibit, the Pacific Northwest, and they had arranged for a private tour last year, and I got a tour with like Suzanne and Ian and Karina and everyone, but with people that were involved. And it was so powerful because these families, they did, ceremonies, they created the, and also like Willa, let's not forget Willa, like super important in that. But they created these things and put them in the exhibit. And when I saw that exhibit, I'm kind of embarrassed to say, but I actually was moved to tears like 3 times. And like George knows, like I'm not a crier, but I had to like excuse myself and kind of just because it's so overwhelming and powerful. And even things like on the tag, the native language on top and the English underneath. So anyway, when you have a moment to do that, I just wanted to say it's really powerful, and I appreciate everyone that had a part of that. And thank you for this.
Kwinganau my name's Denise Stonefish. I'm from Lunaapahkiing. I too want to express my thanks for the opportunity to be here today and to acknowledge the work that the museum has done in keeping the Lenape people alive and saying that and acknowledging that we are still here. But what I wanted to say though is that this is my second trip here, and I think the first time I was here, I didn't know some of the names where the items came from my community, but there's one name in here. It's Olivia Lewis, and she's my great aunt. And I wouldn't have known that if it wasn't for receiving the picture from last year's symposium when somebody asked me, do you know who this lady is? And I said, hey, that's my great aunt. So anyways, it's going to be interesting to see the up and close personal to see the work that she had done. And like Velma said, that hopefully one day these items will be back home or be back with us. Yeah, because this too is our home. Yeah. So I just wanted to say thank you and to let you know that these items, like John says, have a spirit and they're still with us. And yeah, there was something else I was gonna say, I forgot. Does that come with age, Roger? But Anashik, everyone, and I'm glad to see, and for me, everyone that's here, it's great to see our relatives.
Hi, everyone. I'm Katie Sabella, if we haven't met. So we invite you now to take some time if you'd like to visit with the belongings. They've been set up by our conservation and curatorial teams. The belongings that have been brought out are reflected in the pamphlet you have with information provided by Suzanne and some information from our own records. And we'd be happy to assist you with handling if you'd like. We have gloves. You're welcome to take photographs. You'll notice that one table does have a screen in front of it. Those are some sensitive ceremonial pieces that we understand everyone may not feel comfortable being around. So just wanted to flag that. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask one of us. We'll be set up over there. Yes, you're welcome to leave any offerings that you may have brought with you. And if you want us to keep them with the belonging in storage and perpetuity, we're happy to do that as well. We can help you with that if you've talked to one of us. Okay, thank you.